Recently, I got asked an interesting question. Do I see a similar thing between Chad Holgram and Kevin McHale? I had never even really thought about that until it was asked on a recent live stream. But upon further review, aside from the same college, there is some similarities. They actually, I went to Atlanta basketball because I was just doing a stat. Now, obviously, McHale played 11 plus years longer than Holgram, so it's still too early in Holgram's career. But some of the movement that Holgram, he's all arms and elbows, puts me in the frame of mind of a Kevin McHale. He doesn't really, he has an outside shot, he has a drive. He's more wiry than McHale. McHale was real, oddly built, but the arm aspect, the way the gangly maneuvering is actually pretty similar. It's actually pretty similar. I can actually see a parallel there. It's not that far fetched. Sometimes when you have these kind of conversations with some people, they, sometimes you get offended, or sometimes people be like, "Oh man, you know, who you trying to compare? What you doing?" But this actually has some validity to it, style wise. And if he ever turns out to half as good as Kevin McHale, then I could see a couple more rings in the OKC window. You know, it's interesting because I hadn't even really thought about it, and they are pretty comparable. I mean, McHale was a bigger, more impactful player in the postseason with points and boards, but the regular season aspects, it's pretty similar. It's like the trajectory is loaning itself to that. And that's not a bad comparison. If you're going to compare to somebody, a Hall of Famer, a guy who worked his way into being one of the best players, especially for his time period and era, I think that's pretty effective. So I just was like looking at that and I thought, wow, I hadn't even thought about that. But there is a striking, there is some kind of similarity there, um, that it loans itself to that. It's not far fetched to say that, yeah, he's got some glaring patterns there that could definitely loan themselves to that. So I wouldn't be so far. I'm not one to write off and say, hey, that's crazy, because that to me actually makes some sense. I can actually see that. I can actually see a pattern there that they do kind of favor to me in a way. So um I think I would definitely lean towards that. I definitely think I would lean towards that. Part of me might not have a couple of days ago, but sometimes if you have a live debate or you have a conversation and you pick on a certain type of person and personality, it's like, well, do you see that? And I said, you know what? I do. And I hadn't even thought about it. I think it's tough for me because McHale was one of my favorite players. I used to call him an octopus. I've never seen a guy who could do a training wheel tricycle flow, rotate his arms like he was doing butterflies on a basketball court, like he was swimming. Because his hands go forward, backwards, sides, and everything. And that guy just always found a way to get rebounds and stretch and just do things. And you know, he definitely left a mark. So um, that's how I look at it from a technique perspective. I can see that from a technique perspective. Like I said, if Holgram turns out to be half as good as McHale, that's 2 or 3 more rings. So stay tuned. We'll see. Please hit like, subscribe, work on thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another initiative if you like. Please make some suggestions if you'd like to come through. All right, I'm out one time. Peace.